showtime.
And Lloyd Morris, good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you doing, Sir Bell?
I am doing well, but I am concerned about my country, where my country is going. I am concerned about what is happening in America. I am concerned about the young people who seems like there's no hope for them owning a house on this piece of rock.
Well, that's a whole lot of a concern.
Yes.
But I say to you, not be dismayed, because help is on the way.
Help is on the way. That sounds good. How so?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, I think based on the budget presentation that was made recently, and the leader of the opposition, Mr. Mark Golding, outlined a plethora of programs and policies from the People's National Party that are geared to transforming and improving the quality of life of Jamaicans.
Okay.
So, how to transform the economy from a low growth, low tech, low paid economy into one where we are having more sustained period of growth to better paying jobs, how it is that we are going to transform the agricultural sector.
Millions of people are attacked by harmful mouth bacteria, releasing painful toxins.
The agricultural sector. How is it that we are going to make moves to improve the cost of living overall for Jamaican people? Issues of housing, which is where I want to zero in, because that is my portfolio.
Right, and that is what you are here to talk about this evening, because there's a major housing deficit on this island. We have a lot of people who are paying housing trusts and unable to get the benefit. We have a lot of young people who are looking somewhere to live for stability, but the cost of housing on the rock is out of their reach. How are we going to change that?
Well, let me share some data with you first, because based on the economic and social survey, there is a demand for over 190,000 houses across the country. And in order to keep up with the demand, we have to be building 15,000 houses per annum. But on average, for the past 9 years, we have been building just around 2,500 units. So we are far below the requirement on an annual basis in order to meet the demand.
So, Prof,
right? And this is separate from social housing.
Hold on, Prof. You are saying that there's a demand in Jamaica for 15,000 houses per year.
That is what we need to build to keep up with the demand.
Per year. And you're saying for the last 9 years, we have only built 18,000?
Well, based on the research that I've done, for the past 9 years, we have just built about 20,000 plus. Let me give you the exact information that I have here on my computer. But that is what the figure is pointing to over the past 9 years.
The 9 years of this Andrew Holness-led administration, they have only built just about 20,000 houses.
20,119.
Hold on now. This sounds like an exact figure. 20,119 over 9 years.
And I can become more specific. 15,354 units that were built directly by the NHT.
How much by the NHT?
15,354.
In 9 years.
Yeah. And then you have built and owned land, which comes under NHT, but these are people who would have borrowed the funds and build.
Right.
And that is 4,765. And these are data that I have gathered from the annual reports of the NHT.
Now, Professor, the NHT was set up by Michael Manley to deal with affordable housing. Has the NHT been doing that? Have they been fulfilling their mandate? And that is what, from about 1972, somewhere thereabout?
Well, I would say that certainly up until about 2015, thereabout,
yes,
the NHT has been doing its best to build out affordable houses for the citizens, right? But somewhere along the journey between 2016 and present, they have lost their way, because during that time, we have seen an escalation of the price of houses across the country. And you would have thought that a state agency with public resources would be doing its utmost to try and hold back the price of houses. But what we have seen is that NHC has entered into the market where they have been building house units that have cost $28, $38 million.
That's not for the average man.
That is not for the average man. That is not for the average man, right? So we have heard through the Prime Minister in recent times talk about...
Give me 7 minutes a day in the chair and I'll help you lose that beer belly. We start on March 24th. Here's the personalized plan of short chair workouts designed for beginners over 50. It is only 7 minutes per day. Simple, safe needs, no equipment tailored to fit your schedule and health goals. You can
come houses. And I tell you, this is something that hurts me a lot, because this sudden discovery by the Prime Minister of the need for low-income houses has come on the cusp of a national election. We have heard the cries of the citizens for the past 5 or so years, where they have been saying that they want to get cheaper houses.
Right.
Cheaper housing solution. In fact, in the 2020 election, the Prime Minister promised that they were going to build out 70,000 low-income houses. And I looked back again at releases and press conferences and speeches that were delivered by the Prime Minister in 2021, and they said that they were going to roll out low-income houses then, and we have still yet to see. And now we are hearing grand re-announcement in 2025.
Hold on, Professor Floyd. Hold on. Let me just say to the listeners and viewers that we won't be taking any calls until we finish with the interview with Professor Floyd Morrison. So those of you who are calling, we're just asking you to hold your calls until after this interview. Now, Professor Floyd Morrison, what difference the PNP going to be doing so that young people leaving college, starting their new job, what is it that the PNP is proposing to do to assist these people?
All right. There are a number of initiatives that we have put on the table. One, we have decided that we are going to be stopping the annual extraction of the $11.4 billion from the NHT to support the budget, and you use that, have the NHT use that to build out affordable houses, more affordable houses for the citizens of this country. The leader has also pointed out, that the leader of the opposition, that out of that fund that will be repatriated to the NHT,
Yes.
we are going to be making $1 billion available each year for young people to get a grant to pay for their deposit to own their own home. So you know that they have to find a deposit to pay for their pay down on their unit. Young people don't have that. A lot of them come out of colleges and they are struggling to get their feet on the ground. So what we are saying, we want you to start owning your homes early. And so we're providing this $500,000 grant. Then we are
and it's a grant. You want to pay back that $500,000.
You won't have to pay back that grant.
So
because it's a grant.
Is there an age limit to that?
Well, it is between the ages of 18 and 35.
Between 18 and 35. You don't own a house yet. You're paying NHT. When you're going to buy your first house or to build your first house, so you buy the land, the PNP is proposing to give you $500,000, $500,000 to pay your deposit on your first house. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That is not 20,000, you know. It's $500,000.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Significant and transformational. Significant. Yes. But hear more. Hear more.
Talk to me.
We will be building out 50,000 low-income houses across the country. And we're going to be using another state agency to drive the development of these 50,000 houses through the Housing Agency of Jamaica.
50,000.
We have come up with a transformational approach.
Hold on, Professor. Hold on. 50,000 houses. What time period you're going to take to build out those houses?
We're talking about a 5-year period.
So in the first
we're
term,
talking an average of 10,000.
So you are saying in the first term, the PNP is proposing to build 10,000 houses a year.
Low-income houses.
And that's from one. That's from one agency that have nothing to really do with the NHT.
Well, it will be in collaboration with the NHT, but there are other houses that will be built by the private sector because we are going to be partnering with them.
Right. So
this 50,000 is a special initiative to really break the back of the demand for houses by low-income earners in this country and young professionals.
So you're talking about... Go ahead.
What we are going to do that is going to be transformational with this. We have studied the price breakdown of the housing construction. And we realize that land is significant to housing the price. Right?
Yes.
So what the PNP and Mark Golding has said that we will do
Come sit with us.
is that when we build these 50,000 houses, contributors to the NHT will not be paying for the land portion of the cost for their houses.
But that's another significant amount, Professor Floyd Morris.
It is huge.
Because
it is going to be huge because when we look at the price points now for land,
yes,
it is coming out at a minimum of between $2.5 to $3 million
for a square and a half to build a house. Yes,
absolutely. So when we build that unit now, and our plan is to tap in on the culture of Jamaica. We give you 3,000 square feet of land.
Yes.
And on that, we build, for example, a 500 square feet unit, which will contain a bedroom, a living and dining room, bathroom, kitchen, and balcony.
Yes.
And then we are going to allow you now to take it from there and build and expand over time. You know that Jamaican.
And you know Jamaicans going to build. Because I said to somebody the other day, you know, if you ever give with people them land, they will all build houses. Jamaica no joke.
Absolutely.
Give them land.
Give them a start. If you give them a housing start.
Give them a start.
And they build.
And you'll be surprised to see what they build.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we have seen the best practices in Portmore. We have seen them in Nannyville, for example. You know, we have done it before. And I can't understand why we haven't continued on this pathway.
Tell me something, Professor.
So that our people can build their own homes.
So tell me something. The $500,000 grant, if you get that $500,000 grant and you're buying a house from the NHT, you will also get the free land aspect of it, the land removed from the cost of the house.
That is going to be a part of it too.
So you might, going to be a part of it too. Hold on. So you might end up with even $3.5 million as a grant.
That is for the young people.
Between 18 and 35.
For the young people.
Hold on, but people understand and get this. The young people, do they understand what Mark Walden said? Because that's one of the reasons why we have you here this evening to explain all of this, you know. A 500,000 grant, you're going to buy your first house, you need a deposit. The PNP is saying that we will give you 500,000 if you are working. But you have to be paying your NHT, don't?
Have to be paying your NHT.
So you have to be working and paying your NHT. And remember, you can be self-employed and pay your NHT.
As well. Absolutely.
So you can get the $500,000 grant and
purchase one of those units that will be built through the HAJ.
And there will be no cost for the land in those houses.
And the reason why we are implementing this policy initiative, Colin, is because for the past 13 years, NHT contributors have made significant sacrifice for Jamaica by having $11.4 billion of their money supporting the budget. When you do the total calculation of the amount of monies that have been taken out of the NHT for the past 13 years, it is almost $150 billion.
Right. So that is why Mark Walling is saying that we are going to give back the NHT land for that money.
Got you. There you go.
So some people...
That is a caring man.
So some people are giving away $20,000 to each person earning under $3 million. But the PNP is saying to young people between the ages 18 and 35, you are going to buy your first house. We're not charge you for the land. You're going to buy your first house and you want a deposit. We're giving you $500,000 as a grant. It's not a loan. You're not going to pay about that.
But here how it gets sweeter, Colin.
Talk to me.
Here how it gets sweeter. Because when we implement this initiative now, anyone who ends up getting one of these 50,000.
You don't need a second job. You just need to learn these AI tools. To the men over 50 who don't know how to use AI, tomorrow morning, we're starting the 28-day AI challenge for beginners over 50.
These 50,000 units is going to start at an advantage because they will immediately have equity being built up in the property.
Yes.
Because that 2.5 or that 3 million or 3.5 is going to be there to give you a cushion to build your network.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So this is what all around as you look at the PNP's approach to housing development, you
Yes.
see that it is transformational and it is going to lift up many Jamaicans.
But let me say this, Professor. Let me say this, Professor Floyd. The PNP over the years have always been the party that give more lands to Jamaica and more houses to Jamaica. Is that a fact?
It is a fact. It is a fact. And let me share something with you, because
Yes.
I started out by giving you some data earlier. And I did some research on the amount of houses that have been built by the NHT within the last 26 years, from 1999 to 2025. And I did it because I wanted to have a balanced approach.
Yes.
So 13 years of PNP rule
Mm-hmm.
and 13 years of JLP rule,
All right.
which it would take into consideration the term from PJ Patterson 1999 to 2007,
Yes.
and the JLP from 2008 under Bruce Golding to 2011, and Portia Simpson Miller from 2012 to 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and Andrew Holness from 2016 to 2025.
Yes.
So let me share this with you. In terms of build and own land, the total amount of houses that were built between 1999 to 2025,
Mm-hmm.
40,298. That's 40,298.
Yes.
And then you have build and own land.
Oh, that you said that was
Right?
built on one land, the 40,298.
Sorry about that. That was houses that were built directly by NHT. Sorry.
Since
Right?
1999, 40,298. That sounds
Yes.
small.
Yes.
Mm.
And then now for build and own land, which is a part of what NHT does as well.
Yes.
They give you the loan, right?
I benefited from that.
Yes. So that is 23,964. Right? So that's 23,964.
Right.
All right. So now let me give you the breakdown in terms of the JL.
Yeah.
So I had indicated earlier that from 2016 to present,
Yes.
Andrew Holness built 20,119.
Mm-hmm.
Between 2012 and 2015, that one term by Portia,
Mm-hmm.
11,099 units were built.
Mm-hmm.
Between 2008 and 2011, under Bruce Golding,
Mm-hmm.
7,171.
71, yeah.
7,171.
Yes.
And between 1999
And 2007.
and 2007, the amount was 25,873.
25,873.
Right. So
is
if you do the mathematical calculation, you will see that the PNP built about 36,000 plus, right, in the cumulative 13-year period, whereas the JLP built 27,000 plus.
Yeah. Yes,
So there's a difference.
27,290 to
Right.
36,000. This is what? 800 and change. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So there's a difference of over 9,000 units in favor of the PNP. And you don't take into consideration what transpired in the 1970s, the early 1990s, when there was a significant push in terms of housing construction in places like Portmore, etc. Right? So if you look at a global picture, you would see that the PNP would be coming out in terms of building more houses through the NHT than the JLP. But I looked at the last.
It's almost 10,000 more.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, close to 10,000 more than the JLP.
Yeah.
But with all of that said,
and
Professor,
this is all data. This is all data that came from the
NHT.
Annual report of the NHT.
But we have not done well. We need to do better than this. We have to do better than this. And I am confident that the initiative that you just laid down a while ago, in fact, Nikki Boo over there in the USFA is saying, I hope everybody listening, because we are going to hold them to this. And that is what we want, Professor Floyd Morrison. People to listen to what we are saying and hold us to it.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that is happening, and I tell you, and this is why we have a focused approach from this Mark Golding-led PNP where housing is concerned. Because I think that we have ignored a significant part of the Jamaican housing dynamic, and that is the cultural practice of our people.
Mm-hmm.
We want to concentrate on building a 5-bedroom, a 4-bedroom, a 3-bedroom house, and then sell it to the people. That is going to cost $40-50 million.
And they won't be able to buy that.
The majority of Jamaicans will not be able to buy that because they don't fall within that income band that is earning that amount of money to pay for such a mortgage over a sustained period of time.
But if you give them a start.
And that is why we are adopting the approach which is going to take into consideration of the cultural dynamic, where we build a starter unit, give you a 1-bedroom with the living room, dining room, kitchen, bathroom, and a balcony, and the land space where you can expand. And over time, you are going to see what Jamaicans do with that sort of housing unit.
But as we both
and
agreed,
we are committed to that.
As we both agreed earlier, if you give Jamaican a start, they will end up with that 5-bedroom house.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So all they need is that start. You give them a 1-bedroom, living room, kitchen, bathroom, and a balcony. Give them 5 years, and you will see what they do with it. So it is a comprehensive plan for housing for people who are earning below the mega bucks, who are earning under the $3 million, will be able to now own their own house.
They'll own their own home.
Anything else you want to add before you go,
well,
Professor?
You know, I mean,
DJ Israel, good evening. Go ahead, Prof.
The thing is going to get even sweeter because we have come up with an initiative called the Program for the Orderly Renewal and Transformation of Infrastructure in All Areas, the Portia Initiative, which is going to be replacing the old Operation Pride, which we are not going to bury our head and pretend as if, you know, there weren't issues relating to Operation Pride. But the fact of the matter is that Operation Pride caused 58,000 Jamaicans
because I was just about to
own
ask
a
you.
piece of this rock
I was just about
and
to ask
also
you.
to build their own home.
Which other initiative in
Including
Jamaica?
Norwich Heights in Portland.
Hold on.
Including Norwich Heights in Portland.
But which other initiative in Jamaica gave more lands than Operation Pride?
Absolutely none.
So,
absolutely none.
In spite of a few hiccups, we have nothing to be ashamed of when you talk about Operation Pride. As you said a while ago, Operation Pride gave pride to over 50,000 Jamaicans.
When you go and look up by Norwich Heights in Portland, and when you go to a place called Bel Air in St. Anne,
there's one in Clarendon.
Or you go to Pines of Karachi in Mona.
Talk to me.
Or Melrose in Manchester.
Talk to me.
You will see.
Isn't there a big one in Clarendon? There isn't one in Clarendon.
Yes, Longville Park.
Talk to me. I've been there. Big like Norwich Heights have over 400 houses, you know.
Yes. So when you look at what the PNP has done with Operation Pride and, cause people to own their own homes and their land, we are saying we're going to be reviving the initiative or doing some rebranding and changing some administrative procedures. Mm-hmm. And we are going to make sure that there are about 47 Operation Pride initiatives that the government has abandoned.
Yes.
Because of who implemented it over the years. And those people are left to suffer. And we are saying to those residents, don't worry. A Mark Golding-led PNP administration is going to complete those initiatives. We are going to make sure that we complete the infrastructure. We are going to make sure that we give you your titles. We are going to make sure that in addition to that, we are going to improve the sidewalks across this country to make it more accessible for senior citizens and persons with disabilities.
Talk to me.
In inner city communities, we are going to be tearing down those zinc fences that, look so ugly when you go into those communities. We're going to tear them down. We're going to put up concrete fences or chain link fences, improve the aesthetics of the community, and lift the dignity of the people.
Somebody in one of the chat room is saying to me that some parts of Longville Park can hold more houses.
Well, and that might very well be true, and we can look at that when we come in.
Yes.
But, that is what the People's National Party is about, empowering our people and building communities.
Professor, we talk about housing, but what about land? The PNP going to give out any land? Because there are some people who just want a piece of land. Make me get piece of land and a title and me with do me thing. What about land for the landless? PNP going to give away any land? Because in the last, under PJ, was it PJ? Yes. Because I got my land up at Fury at a UDC thing there, where I get my piece of land for buy. The government cut up land and sell it. Tell me about that. Any more lands going to be distributed under the PNP?
That is definitely on the cards, and that is why we are going to be making sure the land titles for all of these Operation Pride developments that are in gestation.
Yeah.
We are going to make sure that we complete them and give the people their titles. I was told that there was about 72,000 titles that were at the HAJ when we left, to distribute to people. Mm-hmm. They have to pay their required deposits. Yes. And I think that held up the process. But we are looking at a number of initiatives that will expedite that and make people get ownership of the land across the country.
All right, my brother. Anything else you want to add before you leave us?
Well, just to say that I am really excited. I was in St. Anne a couple months ago.
Yes.
And I met a young nurse, and she was complaining almost to tears to say that she and her fiance, they were in the market for the past 3 years looking for a unit that would fit in within their price
in their budget.
point. And they said that they just cannot find anything.
Wow.
And I am saying to every nurse, I'm saying to every teacher, every police, every soldier,
Fireman.
every young professional coming out of college, that these set of initiatives that have been developed by the People's National Party and articulated by the leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, stand your best chance of owning your own home and building your castle in this great country of ours. And we are committed to making sure that Jamaicans own a piece of this rock and have a roof over their head, because PNP, they're housing all the time.
Finally, Professor Floyd Morris, what about the people in the diaspora? All right, will they be a part of all these initiatives, and how can they access these benefits?
Well, people in the diaspora, will always be able to benefit from any initiative that the government is implementing once they are making the contributions to the NHT. But I also say one of the things that I take note is that the current housing demand, a lot of individuals from overseas have been tapping into that in terms of those 2 and 3 bedroom units that are being built by private entrepreneurs. And we are going to be partnering with these entrepreneurs to make sure that they continue to build to cater to that market. Because the market is very dynamic, and it constitutes different target audiences, and we recognize the different challenges in the market. And so there's an emphasis on the low-income earners. But at the same time, we are not going to be excluding other income bands in the whole development of these housing.
I did say finally, but I know you have been in the politics a long time, Professor Floyd Morris. There's a hospital in Mandeville. Did the PNP build that hospital, or we refurbished it?
Well, there was a hospital there before.
Yes.
And it was really run down and dilapidated. And we went in and basically reconstructed a new hospital down there. Because it was...
So it is safe to say
it was reconstructed. It was reconstructed to the point where people were saying it is the Mandeville 5-star hotel.
Right. So that's the Percy Junior Hospital, the People's National Party built. What about Maypen Hospital? What did we do to that hospital in Maypen?
Well, that was a brand new hospital.
Built by the PNP.
Yeah.
Professor Floyd Morris, I want to thank you. I ask you those 2 questions because there's a madman in one of the chat room running off his mouth. You are not the spokesman on health, but I know you are knowledgeable as the vice chairman of the People's National Party. I know that you are knowledgeable on the achievement of the party that has built Jamaica. My brother, we are preparing for the work ahead to rebuild this country, to refix the economy of this country and to ensure that the people of this country get a piece of this rock. That is the PNP who normally give out this rock. And I challenge them. The GLP has in power for 9 years. Tell me how much land they cut up so that poor people can get a piece of the rock to build their castle.
I will tell you this. I am living in Pines of Karachi in Kingston, okay?
Yes.
And when I came to live in Pines of Karachi...
Stop studying English and start speaking English.
Yes.
And when I came to live in Pines of Karachi, I paid $950,000 for my lot.
Yes.
In 2003.
Yes.
And I have lived to see where the JLP is, they have cut up some lots above Pines of Karachi. It's nestled between Beverly Hills, Pines of Karachi, and Long Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And they are selling one lot for between $25 and $30 million.
That's enough for poor people.
Absolutely not.
I will tell you, I built my first house in Ferry Hill, Portland. And I built that house in 2002. I think I bought the land in 2001 for just about 500,000. Those lots are now going for 6 million.
Yes.
So
yes,
we know which party look out for the less fortunate.
And
Professor?